Let me ask you something you've probably never said out loud. When was the last time you chose your phone over a person? Not because you were rude, not because you didn't care, but because it was easier, because the screen felt safer, because in the time it would take to have one awkward conversation, you could scroll through 50 beautiful ones that don't require you to say a single word. Think about it. You come home after a long day. There is a message from a friend who wants to talk, a family member who wants to connect, a partner who wants to sit with you. But instead, you pick up your phone. You tell yourself you're tired. You tell yourself you'll get back to them later. And maybe you mean it. But later comes, and the phone is still in your hand. Here is what is strange. You're not avoiding people because you hate them. You're not hiding because you're antisocial. You're choosing the screen for a reason that runs deeper than most of us want to admit. The screen gives you something the real world never can: control. In real life, you never know what is coming. A conversation can turn, a mood can shift, someone can say something that catches you off guard, and suddenly you're standing there, heart racing, wishing you could rewind, edit, delete. But you can't, because life doesn't have an undo button. The screen does. On your phone, you are the director, the editor, the god of a tiny glowing universe. You choose what to see. You choose when to leave. You choose who gets your attention and who gets swiped away. No questions asked, no explanations needed. And somewhere along the way, that feeling of control becomes addictive, not because you're weak, but because control is the one thing the real world keeps refusing to give you. So here is the quiet truth we don't talk about enough. The screen doesn't just entertain you, it hands you the remote to reality. And once you get used to holding that remote, putting it down feels like stepping into a storm without an umbrella. Let's be honest about something. Real life is unpredictable in ways that are exhausting. You walk into a room full of people, and you have no idea what is about to happen. Someone might ask you a question. You're not ready to answer. Someone might misinterpret what you say. Someone might be in a bad mood and take it out on you. Someone might expect something from you that you're not sure you can give. And your brain knows this. It has been tracking this unpredictability since you were a child. Psychologists have a name for the feeling that comes from not knowing what is coming. They call it anticipatory anxiety. It is that low hum of alertness that buzzes in the background when you're about to enter a social situation. Your mind is trying to predict the unpredictable. It is scanning for threats, reading faces, calculating responses, and it is exhausting. Not because you're broken, but because your brain is doing exactly what it evolved to do: protect you from uncertainty. Here is what that looks like in real life. You're at a gathering. Someone makes a joke, and you're not sure if you should laugh. You say something, and there is a pause before someone responds. And in that pause, your mind floods with 100 possibilities. Did I say something wrong? Do they think I'm weird? Should I take it back? But you can't take it back. Words, once spoken, hang in the air. You can't edit them. You can't delete them. You can only sit with the uncertainty of how they landed. Now compare that to what happens on your screen. You type a message. If it doesn't feel right, you delete it before sending. You read something you don't like. You scroll past it. Someone says something annoying. You mute them, block them, swipe them away like they never existed. In the real world, people have feelings. They react. They remember. They bring up things you said 3 years ago and ask you what you meant. On the screen, nothing remembers unless you want it to. In real life, you're never fully rehearsed, and that is terrifying for a brain that just wants to feel safe. Here is what makes the screen different from literally any other environment you'll ever exist in. It is the only place where you are the absolute authority. Think about it. When you're on your phone, you decide the pace. If something moves too fast, you pause it. If something moves too slow, you skip it. If you don't like what you see, you change it instantly. No negotiation, no compromise, no awkward explanation. Psychologists call this operant conditioning. It is a fancy way of saying you repeat behaviors that give you rewards. And the screen is a reward machine, perfectly designed to train you. Every time you swipe and find something interesting, your brain gets a tiny hit of dopamine. Every time you tap and something happens exactly the way you expected, your brain registers. Safe. Good. Do that again. You're not just using the screen, you're being trained by it, and you're training it too. The algorithm learns what you like. It learns what makes you stay. It learns how to keep you in that closed loop, where you're always right, always in control, always satisfied. Now contrast that with a human being. A human being doesn't come with an algorithm. You can't predict what they'll say next. You can't skip their boring story. You can't mute them when they're being annoying without consequences. They have needs. They have moods. They have bad days where nothing they say lands right. And here is the painful truth. After enough time spent in the perfectly controlled world of the screen, real people start to feel messy, demanding, unpredictable in ways that feel unsafe. Not because people are bad, but because your brain has gotten used to a different kind of relationship. One where you hold all the power. A screen never ghosts you. It never judges you. It just waits. It waits for you to come back. It waits for you to pay attention. It waits with infinite patience while you figure out what you want. And that feeling of being the one in charge, it is seductive. Because in every other part of your life, you're not in charge. Not really. You can't control your boss. You can't control your family. You can't control whether someone loves you or leaves you. You can't control the news, the economy, the weather, or the thousands of tiny unpredictable events that make up a human life. But you can control this little box, this little glowing kingdom where you are king. And that is where the story gets complicated, because what starts as comfort can slowly become a cage. Here is where this gets deeper, because this isn't just about avoiding awkward conversations or escaping social exhaustion. This is about something more fundamental. This is about control versus fate. Think about it this way. The real world runs on fate. You don't choose who you're related to. You don't choose who you fall in love with. You don't choose when someone leaves or when they stay. You don't choose the random encounters, the unexpected losses, the conversations that change everything without warning. Life happens to you, not because you're weak, but because that is what it means to be human, to be subject to forces larger than yourself. But the screen runs on will, your will. You decide, you choose, you curate. You are the sole authority in a universe that exists only to serve you. Psychologists have a term for how people relate to control in their lives. They call it locus of control. Some people have an internal locus. They believe they shape their own destiny. Others have an external locus. They believe life is shaped by forces outside them. Here is what is interesting. People who feel anxious often have a stronger need for control, because anxiety is, at its core, the fear of not knowing what is coming. And when you don't know what is coming, your brain sounds an alarm. It keeps you on edge. It makes you scan for danger. The screen silences that alarm, not because it solves anything, but because it replaces the unpredictability of life with the predictability of a machine. Every swipe gives you something you expect. Every tap does what you wanted. Every moment on the screen confirms one thing: you are in charge. And that feeling, it is intoxicating, especially if the rest of your life feels like one long exercise in powerlessness. But here is the hard truth. The truth we don't want to look at too closely. You're not controlling the world. You're just hiding from it. Because control inside a box isn't real control. It is a simulation. A closed loop where nothing genuinely new can happen, where nothing surprises you unless an algorithm calculated that it would, where nothing challenges you unless you've already signaled you're ready for it. In the real world, people challenge you. They ask things you didn't prepare for. They see through your carefully constructed walls. They love you in ways you can't predict and hurt you in ways you can't prevent. That is terrifying, but it is also the only place where anything real can happen. The screen offers you safety, but safety isn't the same as living. Safety is just the absence of risk, and without risk, there is no growth. Without unpredictability, there is no genuine connection. Without the possibility of being hurt, there is also no possibility of being truly seen. When you choose the screen over people, you're not just avoiding discomfort. You're rejecting fate itself. You're saying, I don't want to be surprised. I don't want to be vulnerable. I don't want to hand over control to anyone or anything outside myself. You're trying to play God in a tiny, glowing box, rather than face the beautiful, terrifying chaos of being human. And here is what is heartbreaking. The more you play God in that box, the less you remember how to be human outside it. Let's pause here for a moment, not to judge, not to guilt you into putting your phone down. That is not what this is about. Because here is the truth, we all do this. Every single one of us. You're not broken for preferring the screen sometimes. You're not weak for finding comfort in control. You're human, and humans seek safety. That is what we do. But here is the gentle question worth asking. What are you trading for that safety? Because every time you choose the screen over a person, you're making a trade. You're trading the unpredictable for the predictable, the messy for the clean, the real for the simulated. And what you get in return is comfort, control, calm. But what you lose is harder to name. You lose the moment when someone says something that stops you in your tracks. You lose the laugh that comes out of nowhere because a friend said exactly the wrong thing at exactly the right time. You lose the silence that isn't awkward but sacred. The one where you're just sitting with someone, not needing to say anything, because being together is enough. You lose the chance to be surprised by love, by connection, by someone seeing you in a way you didn't even see yourself. The screen will never see you. It will reflect you. It will serve you. It will entertain you. But it will never see you. And being seen, truly seen, in all your imperfection, in all your unpredictability, in all your human messiness, is the one thing that makes the chaos worth it. The real world won't let you be God, but it might let you be human. And maybe that is enough. Maybe it is more than enough. Because here is what the screen can't give you. It can't give you the moment when someone reaches for your hand without you asking. It can't give you the feeling of being understood without having to explain. It can't give you the strange, beautiful relief of realizing you're not the only one who is scared, who is lonely, who is just trying to figure it all out. Only people can do that. Messy, unpredictable, uncontrollable people. So no, this isn't about quitting your phone. This isn't about throwing away your screens and moving to a cabin in the woods. That is not realistic, and that is not the point. The point is smaller, and maybe more powerful. The point is to notice. Notice when you're reaching for the screen, not because you want it, but because you're afraid of what might happen without it. Notice when you're hiding in control, because the real world feels too heavy. Notice when you've been playing God in your little box for so long that you've forgotten how to be human in the big, beautiful, terrifying world outside it. And then, maybe, just once in a while, put the box down. Not forever, just for long enough to remember. Long enough to let someone surprise you. Long enough to let life happen to you, instead of always happening through you. Long enough to feel the risk of being real. Because here is the thing about playing God. It is lonely at the top of that little box. And you were never meant to rule alone. You were meant to be in the chaos. With the rest of us, imperfect, unpredictable, alive. The screen will always be there. The question is, will you?